Commission for April 27th to order. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Horn,
Here.
Commissioner Huber, Commissioner Lang,
Here.
Commissioner Mutter,
Here.
Mayor Freilich,
Here.
Commissioner Infeld,
Here.
Commissioner McLean,
Here.
Commissioner Smith, Commissioner Hammond, Commissioner Gardner,
Here.
Commissioner Renner, Chair Robinson.
Here. And we have a copy of the minutes from our February 23rd meeting. Do we have any changes or questions? Again, any changes? Do we have a motion?
Second.
Motion to approve the minutes of February 23 by Commissioner Renner, second by Commissioner Infeld. Questions? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Horn,
Yes.
Commissioner Lang,
Yes.
Commissioner Mutter,
Yes.
Mayor Freilich,
Yes.
Commissioner Infeld, Commissioner McLean,
Yes.
Commissioner Gardner,
Yes.
Commissioner Renner,
Yes.
Chair Robinson.
Yes. Minutes are approved. We'll move on to the first of our public hearings. Item number 1, consider a setback variance for Lot 6, Block 1, Dakota, 2nd Edition.
Hey there. Good evening, Commission members. Again, my name is Dave Vios, and I work for Interstate Engineering. I'm your interim planner, kind of filling in for Rachel tonight. So our first kind of item on the docket is to consider a setback variance for Lot 6, Block 1 of the Dakota 2nd Edition. And so Craig Valnis has requested a building setback variance in the LSMHS Trailer Park Subdivision zoning district. The property is located at 1100 11th Street Southeast. And basically what they are looking to do is install a manufactured home that would not meet setback limits. It'd be a little bit too long. We can show kind of a sketch here. So essentially, the unit they want to put on it would be a little too long, and they'd have to kind of maneuver a little bit so that their side door, the second exit labeled on here, would not encroach on some of these utilities on the property. And reviewing kind of neighboring properties, it seems it's pretty much in line with what's already going on in the neighborhood, and shouldn't be, wouldn't be any drastic difference. So we're recommending approval to approve the setback variance for Lot 6, Block 1 in Dakota 2nd Edition. And then your recommended motion is in your agenda packet, unless there's any questions.
Questions for David?
I'm going to bring it up, and you already said it, but I'm going to ask it again because I'm looking at this map and at the current utilities and the second exit. Is there enough room in case somebody has to work in there on those utilities?
I believe so. I can't say for certain the intent, but I know that they did want to locate it so that the second exit, I suppose, a stairwell or something like that, a porch, wouldn't cover those up. So I assume that would leave enough room for that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Dave? With none at this time, I will open it up for public comment. We are taking comments or questions on item number 1. Again, comments or questions on item number 1? And last call. No comments or questions, I'll close the public hearing, return it back to the commission. And do we have any further questions for Dave before we complete discussion?
Chair Robinson, I would move to approve the requested variance of the front yard setback in the residential mobile home subdivision district for Lot 6, Block 1, Dakota, Second Edition, from a minimum of 15 feet to a minimum of 12 feet, based on the request of the variance as the minimum variance that would accomplish the relief sought by the applicant.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Renner, second by Commissioner Mutter. Motion is to recommend approval of the requested variance of the front yard setback in the residential mobile home subdivision district for Lot 6, Block 1, Dakota, Second Edition, from a minimum of 15 feet to a minimum of 12 to accomplish the minimum relief request as requested by the applicant. Any questions? No questions. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Horn,
Yes.
Commissioner Lane,
Yes.
Commissioner Mutter,
Yes.
Mayor Freilich,
Yes.
Commissioner Infeld,
Yes.
Commissioner McLean,
Yes.
Commissioner Gardner,
Yes.
Commissioner Renner,
Yes?
Chair Robinson.
Yes. And the motion is approved. We'll move on to item number 2, and to consider a final plat for 1884 edition. Dave?
Okay, so the next item on your agenda is to consider a final plat for the 1884 edition. Just for some background, the preliminary plat was conditionally approved at the February 23rd meeting of City Commission. And so this is the final plat for 1884 edition, located in the southeast quarter of Section 32, Township 139, Range 81 West, within the ETJ. And this portion of southeast quarter of Section 32 has been previously partially platted as Lot A. It has 6 existing lots. Let's see. The applicant proposes to replat Lot 1, Lot 2, and Lot 3 of Lot A and replat Lots 1 and 2, Block 1 of the Call Irie Edition. It'll be a total of 15.3 acres with 4 lots within Block 1 and 3 lots within Block 2. There are a couple of, I guess we could say, unusual pieces on this plat. Lot 2 of Block 2 has sort of a long, I guess I call it a panhandle. And then Lot 3 of Block 2, which is on the top left corner of your image there, is probably kind of a remnant and not likely to be developed. It does provide access throughout the whole subdivision. There's no zone change being requested at this time. Final plat appears to protect access to existing and proposed lots. The final plat application includes an updated master plan, which provides for orderly development and maintains access for future development. And I think we've got that here. Yes, we do. And again, Lot 3 of Block 2 is a non-conforming remnant and may not be able to be developed. So this meets all technical requirements for consideration of a final plat, fits in with zoning and comprehensive plan, and we recommend approval of the 1884 addition. Your suggested motion is in your packet, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Questions for Dave? Do we have any questions for Dave? With none at this time, I will open it up for public comment or questions on item number 2. Again, we're taking comments or questions on item number 2. And this will be the third call. With none, I'll close the public hearing and return it back to the commission.
I'll make the motion. I move to approve the final plot of 1884 addition.
I'll second it.
Motion by Commissioner Mutter, second by Commissioner Gardner. Motion is to recommend approval of the final plat for 1884 addition. Any questions? With none, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Horn,
Yes.
Commissioner Lang,
Yes.
Commissioner Mutter,
Yes.
Mayor Freilich,
Yes.
Commissioner Infeld,
Yes.
Commissioner McLean,
Yes.
Commissioner Gardner,
Yes.
Commissioner Renner,
Yes.
Chair Robinson.
Yes. Motion is approved. Third public hearing is to consider a preliminary plat for Lakewood Commercial Park, 7th edition. Dave?
So the next item in your agenda is to consider a preliminary plat for Lakewood Commercial Park, 7th edition. This is the preliminary plat. It's located in lots 1B and 4, Block 1, Lakewood Commercial, lots 2 and 3, Block 1 of Cokes Lakewood Villas, and Lot 2, Block 1 of Cokes Lakewood Villas, 2nd edition, all located in Section 6, Township 138, Range 80, West, Morton County, within city limits. The applicant proposes to combine Lot 1B, Block 1, Lakewood Commercial, and Lot 1, Block 1, Cokes Lakewood Villas, 2nd edition, and to replat the remaining lots. The applicant wishes to subdivide in order to develop vacant land and convey additional space to current landowners. So let's pull that one up here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So essentially what they're looking to do here is to extend lots 3, 4, 5, and 6 to include these portions in the rear, and to increase the size of lot 2, and then to combine the rest of this into lot 1. And there would be this kind of large drainage low-lying area on the eastern third or so of lot 1. Lot 1 is more than half of the area of the plat, and the application states that they would at some time want to put multi-use shops on this piece of property. And to note, we did get one comment in opposition to multi-use shops from neighbors. Access to lots 3, 4, and 5, and 6 is via Nash Lane. Access to Lot 2 is via Shoal Loop Southeast, and Lot 1 could be accessed from 40th Avenue Southeast. Preliminary plat appears to protect access to existing and proposed lots. Lot 1 is a large retention pond area, making that portion of the lot unlikely to be developed. It's a total of 2.9 acres, all in one block, 6 lots, that is. Current land use on the proposed lots 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6 is residential. Lot 1 is vacant, and the future land use plan designates this area as high-density residential. So this does meet all technical requirements for a preliminary plat. And at this time, we recommend approval of the preliminary plat for Lakewood Commercial Park 7th Edition. And your suggested motion is in your packet if there are no questions.
Questions for Dave?
I guess I'm going to ask, Dave, is that, I'm looking at this lots 6 here in a little bit. It's not going to affect the drainage system at all? I mean, is there
No.
enough room there so we don't have any problems?
I don't think so. Are you talking about that little piece kind of on the very left side of lot
Yes,
6?
yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that too. It kind of goes into the slope a little bit, but it shouldn't affect drainage, and I think it's pretty gentle, I guess you could say. So I don't foresee an issue there, I guess.
Okay, thank you.
Chair Robinson, Dave, on where Lot 2 is, if you can bring that map up again, heading to the west, there's almost like a little sliver there. Why isn't that more squared off? I mean, is that going to be an issue somewhere down the line?
This kind of
yeah, right there.
triangle here.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be easier to come straight to
I
the
think
south?
I guess I could not answer why they chose to do that. However, I believe that's just kind of the lay of the land as it is now. And so lot 2, they just sort of extended down to this line here. So they're trying to make it kind of sort of even with this existing line here. But I couldn't answer why that triangle's there. But I don't necessarily think there's going to be issues with that either.
Any other questions for Dave? Questions? With none, I'll open up the public hearing on item number 3, Lakewood Commercial Park 7th.
Thank you, Chair Robinson. Landon Eimler with Swenson Hagen Engineering, representing Mitlighters on this one, which is the large lot, the Lot 1, Block 1. I can certainly answer any questions that you have as far as the drainage concern was. As we go forward into a site planning stage, we're going to need to account for that drainage that is already there. We'll have to protect that and allow those properties to continue draining the way they always have. And then also account for our additional drainage that will happen whenever a building or concrete is added. We will have to handle our stormwater issues at that point. As far as those lots in the north with that odd sort of curved lot, there is an existing lot line there, and it already was at that curve, so we did our best to make it work, but some of the properties we don't have access to are not involved in this plat, so we're just matching into those. Additionally, like David mentioned, tonight is just the preliminary plat. We're not asking for a zoning change. The zoning will remain as CB. Not asking for the special use on multi-shops. That's for a later point. Tonight is just about land exchanges and lot lines. I can certainly answer any questions if you have them.
Does the commission have any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, we're taking comments or questions on item number 3, Lakewood Commercial. If there's anybody in the room that would like to comment or question the plat itself? Again, comments on item number 3? And last call. With none, I'll close the public hearing. Turn it back to the commission.
I'll move to approve the preliminary plat for Lakewood Commercial Park 7th Edition.
Motion by Commissioner Infeld, second by Commissioner Renner. Motion is to recommend approval of the preliminary plat for Lakewood Commercial Park 7th Edition. Questions? None. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Horn,
Yes.
Commissioner Lang,
Yes.
Commissioner Mutter,
Yes.
Mayor Freilich,
Yes.
Commissioner Enfeld,
Yes.
Commissioner McLean,
Yes.
Commissioner Gardner,
Yes.
Commissioner Renner,
Yes.
Chair Robinson.
Yes. Motion is approved. Next public hearing is item number 4, consider a preliminary plat and zone change for School District 8th Edition. Dave?
Thank you. So the next item on your agenda is consider a preliminary plat and zone change for School District 8th Edition. And I will just preface before I give you my review that we had some kind of last minute information come in, communicated to me. We're changing our recommendation to approval. So other than that, though, the kind of findings are the same. So with that being said, we'll just need to change staff recommendation from deny to approve. But with that, we can kind of get into it. Call this up. For some background, the applicant met with city staff at a pre-planning meeting on April 2nd. Staff discussed some concerns regarding connectivity to an area roughly west of existing 8th Street Northwest. Staff did also have some concerns with the plat's deviation from the 2023 Mandan High School placemaking plan, which provided for an extension of 8th Street and included roundabouts at the intersection of 9th Avenue with Division Street and 9th Street. And one of those roundabouts has since been addressed, and so that's one of the reasons why we're changing our recommendation. This is the preliminary plat for School District 8th Edition, currently lots 1 to 5, Block 2, School District 1st Edition replat, located in the northeast quarter of Section 28, Township 139 North, Range 81 West, within city limits. It's a total area of 27.84 acres to be platted into 4 blocks with a total of 8 lots. And the proposed plat would preserve the existing ASA and the Braves Center, which you can see on the plat here are these kind of grayish buildings. Access will be provided by 9th Street Northwest and 9th Avenue Northwest, which kind of divides the plat into roughly 4 quadrants. The east side of the plat, including lots 2 and 3, Block 3, abut Sunset Drive, 6th Avenue Northwest, 8th Street Northwest, and 8th Avenue Northwest. Proposed rights-of-way are approximately 66 feet in width for 9th Avenue Northwest and 60 feet for 8th Street Northwest. And the requested zone change, you should be able to see on the screen there, R7, single-family residential for Lot 3, Block 1, and Lot 1, Block 4. R3.2, two-family residential for Lot 3, Block 3. CA, commercial for Lot 2, Block 3. And CC, commercial for Lots 1 and 2, Block 1, Lot 1, Block 2, and Lot 1, Block 3. And some of the reason for the commercial zoning you'll see on this plat is to account for public recreation uses. So the skate park, the Brave Center, the ASA would kind of all fall under that. And so we wanted to make sure that whatever zoning would be used here wouldn't create a nonconformity. So essentially, the use that's there now would be allowed by the zone that's being proposed. Adjacent property to the north is agriculture, to the west and south is R7, to the east is CA, and R3.2, and RM, multifamily. Future land use plan designates the property as park on the north side of the property and public, semi-public on the south. Again, the westward extension of 8th Street that was outlined in the placemaking plan has not been included in this plat. And so that would kind of run, if you can see my cursor, more or less right here. The requested zone change, oh, sorry, I already addressed that. Again, this commercial would be for public recreation uses. So all technical requirements for consideration of a preliminary plat have been met. And it is consistent with the comprehensive plan and future land use plan. However, it is doesn't exactly mirror what was in the 2023 placemaking plan. And the zone change fulfills the goals, objectives, and policies of the future land use plan and any other plans. And with that, our recommendation is to approve the preliminary plat and zone change for the school district 8th edition. And your suggested motions, approve or deny, are in your packet. I'm happy to take any questions.
Questions for Dave?
Dave, can you pull that map up again? I want to see what projection of where 8th Street's going to be, please.
Let's see. Yeah, so here's 8th Street here, existing. And I note this because that placemaking plan essentially would have extended 8th Street this way, and this preliminary plat does not follow that.
Is that the key difference?
Yes, I believe so, without having it right in front of me. I did bring a copy on paper, of course. You could probably look it up on here too. Okay. Oops. We had it. Okay. This is the an excerpt out of that placemaking plan. So you can see kind of towards the bottom part of the image, A Street is extending across where this plat would be. And so that's not been carried forward. But I would say the rest is largely in keeping with what was in that plan.
So A Street Northwest is not going to carry over. That'll be gone from this. From the plat is the one that's going to be the one that we see here.
Correct.
That's the one that would be okay.
Yep. They would not extend A Street.
So then how are you going to get into there for the homes then?
That's
There's no street to it. What's
yes,
going to be the
that
access
would.
point?
Yep, that would have to be a question for future development.
Maybe I'm missing something here, but why, we're supposed to vote on something and agree to a preliminary plot when we already know that we don't have access to part of it in the first place? That seems kind of strange to me.
Yeah, we had talked with the applicant, and some of the issues that we felt there were with connectivity, they've kind of addressed with the roundabout and some of the right-of-way. It does leave this large lot on the south side of the property. However, that will have to be decided at a future date.
Dave, is there a reason why they changed it, or why they moved away from it from the preliminary one?
I am not entirely sure why they didn't include that piece from the placemaking plan, and that placemaking plan wasn't set in stone, so to say. So it was a plan, of course, but that's how those things kind of go.
I'm sorry, you had said something about a roundabout. Can you show us where that was located at?
We got that on here. Your roundabout would be about there.
But isn't this an old map and then you said they added it back in?
Correct. This placemaking plan was a concept from 2023, and the preliminary plat that we've got in front of us doesn't have the roundabout.
Include them.
Does not have the roundabout on it. However, when speaking with the applicant and the developer, they indicated that they would include that going forward. And so if you'd like, you could make that a condition of preliminary approval.
Dave, I got a question on the zoning of CC. And I know you mentioned that was because you wanted to make sure that the area wouldn't be out of compliance.
Correct.
But why would you have to go to CC? Is CA and CB not sufficient? I mean, light industrial seems pretty.
It sounds, yes, I agree. It does sound kind of, well, I guess the phrase I would use is a little bit of sticker shock. Like, why are we doing CC? We did float the idea of RM, multifamily, which also allows for public recreation group. However, the owner did not want to go for it. So CC was kind of where we ended up.
It just seems a little strange to have, when we vote on things in the future, like down at Lakewood, we put a commercial district right next to those homes down there. Well, that's the way it was. And I think at the time, people, I don't know what they were thinking when, I mean, not to say it was bad. I just say, I don't know what their intent was, but it just seems like, well, today that park looked pretty nice, but tomorrow if someone comes in with a light industrial use, they could park it right next to some R7 homes. Especially if you could have a CA or CB designation. But
I don't believe CA and CB allowed for public recreation. I can get you a more solid answer on that, but I think CC was kind of was basically the option since RM was out. We didn't want to go with sort of the central business district because it didn't seem fitting either. So we were kind of left with CC.
Chair Robinson, isn't there something somewhere that there has to be some kind of a buffer zone between R7 and any commercial though? Don't I remember reading that someplace? There has to be some kind of a buffer zone?
That's right. Yeah, zoning ordinance does require buffer zones between uses, and sometimes between zones. And it's incumbent upon the person developing to make that buffer happen. So if I'm developing my R7 next to some light industrial, and the light industrial was there first. It's my responsibility to make sure that gets in.
Chair Robinson, Commissioner Renner. The other thing I was going to point out, this is Building Official Singer. The CC lots that you see, Lot 1 and Lot 2, the top lot, Lot 1, is currently the skate park, and the second one next to the R7 is actually owned by the City of Mandan, used as a grass dump site. So I think we took that into consideration when we were looking at which zone it could possibly be in that. So I think knowing we've got the skate park there with parks and the city lot, we thought it made the most sense.
Any other questions?
On that, I'm thinking about parking lot for all seasons rain, to be honest with you. We've got a road that's going west of there. What's the plan on, or prediction of when that's going to be done, or future? Is the developer going to start working on that sooner or later? Or?
I am not aware of the kind of construction timeline for that, but if I can get an answer for that, I will definitely share that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Commissioner Robinson, I guess, just to point out that this concept here, it's nothing's been sold yet on this land. It's nothing been developed yet, so there's no developer on it yet. So the concept of a road or anything like that, that's something to work on in the future, I guess, so.
Chair Robinson, I guess that kind of does touch on what I was thinking too. If the land hasn't even been sold and there is no developer on it, what is the reason behind the preliminary plat in the first place? To try to lock the developer into this as the way that we want it? Are we basically telling the developer, you can buy it, but this is what we want to see and this is the only thing we're going to allow, instead of giving the developer the ability to develop it the way they see fit?
I guess I couldn't speak to the motives of why they wanted to go with the plat. I think if I had to guess, the school district kind of wants to be done with the land, so to say, and move on.
Chair Robinson, Commissioner Renner, the existing zoning on all of this is ag, so it really ties the hands of anyone coming in the future. This is honestly a concept of what it could be, but it's to help the school district so that they are able to do what they would like with the plan, or the property, I should say.
Any other questions?
I just have one other one. So let's just say that we passed it and we did a zoning that would be out of compliance, right? Obviously we're not shutting their business down, right? Is there any repercussions that if we zone them out of their usage, is that a problem?
I don't think there's any immediate repercussions, but generally, you obviously want to avoid something not conforming, especially with a view to what could happen in 10, 20 years. It could just make a real headache for somebody down the road.
Because I like the concept that has been put out there, with the skating park, and I just feel a little nervous putting a CC next to an R7, but other than that, staff's approved it, I feel more comfortable with it.
Any others? With none, at this time, I'd like to open up the public hearing, again, on item number 4.
Good evening, Chairman, Commissioners. Abe Almer with Independent Land Surveying and Engineering. I can probably clean up some of your questions that you've been asking. The main purpose of this was the school plat. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's dozens of lots. The ASA is actually part of the school lot, so the parks actually owns the building, the school actually owns the land underneath it. In the end of all this, the school's is being demoed. I'm part of that project as well. We're trying to procure a portion of land to make that deal with Parks to get their building on their property for the ASA. And also one of the main goals of this was just to clean up the property before the school turns around and sells it to somebody. Because it is multiple parcels, multiple people could come in and buy one parcel out of 12 or however many parcels there are and piecemeal it like that, and then you get that long drawn out who does what over time. So our main goal here was just to try to clean up the property. Ninth Street's already built to a certain point, but then it dead ends into the football field. There is no street north and south. As you know, you snake through the parking lots. This is outside that parking lot going north and south to the west, trying to take the turn at 7th up 9th and go all the way up to Division Street. A portion, if you look back at the history of this land, there was kind of a portion further west that a road would go up and down, but if you look at the lay of the land, good luck building it. It's one of those where there's a hill on the south, a wetland in the middle, and the giant hill above the skate park on the north that was in line with that future road that they were thinking. There are a lot of easements on this plat as well. With existing water lines, we're working with city staff because some of those have been vacated. We are removing and getting rid of some of those utilities to the old school building as well. So we're trying to clean that up. So a main portion of this, just to reiterate, was just to try to clean up this property for a future developer to develop it. The main reason, one of the 8th Street not cutting through. We have a couple different theories with that, and when we talked about it, we did look at that in the preliminary, but it's cutting through that larger lot on the south. That larger lot would turn into kind of a pie shape on the west side and only be about 150, 170 feet deep, which is kind of hard to even place. If you place a single building on it, then you're double fronting. You end up with a street in the front and a street in the back. Is that fair to that lot? I don't know. So we really didn't want A Street to go through with staff communication, everything like that. The main concern was the north-south connectivity between Division Street and 7th Street. So we proposed that in further conversations as we are going to provide more right-of-way kind of triangles to be able to procure that right away for a future roundabout at that 9th Street and 9th Avenue intersection, kind of the main intersection of the 4 quadrants of land. For the zoning, we actually reached out to planning and city staff to try to suggest something. We didn't know exactly what to zone it. The school was kind of hesitant to put it in RM, knowing that that's multifamily and doesn't really have a limit on how many units. If you got the land, you can put more units on it, kind of thing. So we were a little hesitant in going in RM. I think we're open, being that this is preliminary plat, we're open to do some kind of restricted CC or something of that nature that allows that public use on these properties. If the city really pushes that RM, I think we're open to that discussion too. So we're just trying to find something that works for the property, and CC was suggested because of the public uses for the Brave Center, for the ASA, and for that skate park and the city lot for the grass and leaves dumps. We are proposing that CA and that far east lot along Sunset. CA is a little bit less restricted, can do more businesses. The setbacks are a little bit different than the CC. So we'd like to try to keep that as a kind of a prime frontage lot for commercial up there. We proposed R32, again, not to go to like RM for that large lot on that south end. Just, it's more of a placemaker. The school intends to sell this property and let somebody else build. If they want to change it at that time to something else for a different zone or propose 8th Street or something, they can do it on their own dime and have a plan to follow at least too for any kind of building. Anything that I missed for you?
Is this going to make it easier for the school to sell these lots?
I think so. It's less dirty than the existing property. And this allows, like I said, a big checkbox that we wanted to check was trying to get a piece of property for the ASA to break off from the school property as well. So I think developers would look at this and say, so that far west R7, that's very limited area because of the wetlands and stuff that's in there. You're not going to get a whole lot of homes in there. It's very rough, rugged land. But yeah, if somebody has the money, they can pay to build it. We just, as the school told me, they don't want to build it.
Thank you.
So.
Any other questions for Abe? Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
I'll have you state your name for the record, please.
Sure. I'm Carlin Peterman Turner. I'm a citizen who lives across the street from the mess that you were talking about. It's been really surreal to watch that all fall down because I graduated from there many years ago. So my concern is, and I understand talking with the gentleman before the meeting started, this is just a preliminary plan, correct? So there can be changes made even though you approve this as it is. I know, speaking with my neighbors, and I'm one of those 3 houses that face on 7th Street. So we are concerned with traffic. We are concerned with what you are going to allow being built there. We already deal with 2 apartment buildings that have been problems with drug sales and low-income people, and I have nothing against them. I just am concerned about whether or not this is going to allow for more large apartment buildings being built to accommodate the low income, and then we'll just be exacerbating what we've already been experiencing for the many years in the past. So I also think the 8th Street, it's going to really congest traffic if that street doesn't flow through, because traffic there already is very congested, and if the streets, I mean, a roundabout is not going to fix it on 9th in that little corner back in those parking lots. So I would really look at, our concerns are what's going to be built there, how's the traffic going to flow, and how is it going to affect everything. And yes, this is a wetland. Believe me, I live on it, and it's a mess. So I think it needs to be really considered as to what is being allowed to be placed, especially closer to that wetland area, back off in that ag area under Davenport Hill, because it is a concern. I mean, our houses are sinking. So it needs to be really a concern of that. And I think that's my only, I've never presented at one of these, so I'm like trying to think of all these questions. But it being that this is a preliminary, I'm hoping that the next step is something where the public can also, again, bring in their concerns before you guys all make a determination as to what the school district's going to be allowed to sell it for. It is a definite concern for those of us who live there. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Questions on item number 4? I'll follow up a little bit on some of your questions, but Commissioner Horn commented that there is no developer or buyer at this time. So the school district has, they don't have an idea from a developer at this point. They're trying to do zone. It is easier to sell land once zoning is established, and layout. And from what I gather here, that's the primary purpose for this evening. Again, any other comments or questions? With none, I'll close the public hearing, return it back to the commission.
You guys want me to take a stab at this? I move to approve the preliminary plat for zone change for School District 8th Edition.
And as Dave discussed, do you want to put in the condition of the roundabout?
Yes, on the condition of the roundabout. Thank you.
That's at 9th and 9th?
The condition at the roundabout would be there? Is that what, okay.
Chair Robinson, I think that's something we'll have cleaned up by final.
With the additional information and the approval, I'll second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Mutter, second by Commissioner Infeld. Motion is to recommend approval of the preliminary plat and zone change for School District 8th Edition with the addition that we discussed tonight with a roundabout at the corner of 9th Street and 9th Avenue. Intersection of 9th and 9th. Any questions? None. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Horn,
Yes.
Commissioner Lang,
Yes.
Commissioner Mutter,
Yes.
Mayor Freilich,
Yes.
Commissioner Infeld,
Yes.
Commissioner McLean,
Yes.
Commissioner Gardner,
Yes.
Commissioner Renner, Chair Robinson.
Yes. Motion is approved. And we'll move on to public hearing number 5. Consider a preliminary plat and zone change for Keitel's South Hart Terrace, 5th Edition.
Chair Robinson, before, I'll just letting everyone know that I'm leaving just to make sure that I'm not, I do have a conflict of this, so
Okay.
I won't be part of this discussion.
Okay. So Commissioner Gardner will recuse himself from the item.
So the next item on your agenda is to consider a preliminary plat and zone change for Keitel's South Hart Terrace 5th Edition. So this is the preliminary plat for Keitel's South Hart Terrace 5th Edition, located in the northwest quarter of Section 3, Township 138 North, Range 81 West, 5th Primary in Morton County, North Dakota, within city limits. This portion of the northwest quarter of Section 3 has been previously platted as Keitel's South Hart Terrace 4th, which was vacated. The applicant has met with city staff, excuse me, the applicant has met with city staff numerous times between this item being tabled originally in fall 2025 and now. Most recently, the applicant met with city staff at a pre-planning meeting on April 2nd. Staff discussed some concerns regarding connectivity to the east at Clover Grove, and engineering staff had concerns with secondary access for fire and emergency services access. The total area of the plat would be 47.82 acres in 5 blocks with a total of 71 lots. And we've just got a list of how many lots are in each block, but I won't read all those off other than to note that block 5 has lot 20, which is a drainage basin with a 40-foot stormwater and drainage easement across lot 19. And I'll try and zoom in here. So kind of on the right side here, this big lot is lot 19. And then lot 20 is this polygon up here on the top right. Let's see, we'll go over some access. Block 1 accesses onto 8th Avenue Southwest. I'll scroll a little bit, maybe. Block 2 is accessed via 8th Avenue Southwest, cobblestone loop, and a cul-de-sac created by 7th Avenue Southwest. Block 4 is accessed via cobblestone loop, 4th Avenue Southwest, and a cul-de-sac at 2nd Avenue Southwest. Block 5 is accessed via cobblestone loop and a cul-de-sac coming off of cobblestone loop labeled Lifford Court. That's on the bottom right of your plat. Connection to existing roads is via extension of 8th Avenue Southwest, 6th Avenue, 4th Avenue, and cobblestone loop from Keitel's South Hart Terrace 3rd Edition directly to the north. And so on your on your screen there, the part that's not colored in is Keitel's South Hart 3rd, and the area that is colored in, and that's being requested for a zone change, is what you're considering tonight. Proposed rights-of-way are 66 feet in width for cobblestone loop and 6th Avenue Southwest, and 80 feet for 8th Avenue Southwest and 4th Avenue Southwest. The plat shows 8th Avenue Southwest moving eastward from its current orientation, and that's this kind of it's coming down here and then curves over to the east a little bit. That's this curve here. And shows multifamily lots on the west side of 8th Avenue. That's these here, that are RM. City staff had requested minimal access points along 8th Avenue Southwest, as the potential build-out and platting of the land to the south may include intensive uses such as a hotel, conference center, or school. 8th Avenue Southwest will operate as a collector, and therefore access to 8th Avenue must be appropriately managed. And so we want to be really careful what we do with 8th Avenue. There is no access to the east of this subdivision. I'll scroll again here. City staff had, after facilitating conversations with the proposed Clover Grove subdivision to the east, requested that at a minimum, staff would like to see an eastward right-of-way preserved through platting or a memorandum of understanding. The currently shown cul-de-sac, that's Lifford Court, on the east side of the subdivision does not allow for continuation into the coulee beyond Keitel's 5th and Clover Grove. The applicant noted that the construction of a road would be really costly. City staff acknowledged that, but in the interest of future connectivity, requested preservation of the option. So this plat does not meet those requests. City staff have noted that this is a persistent occurrence on the south side of Mandan in general, with subdivisions being self-contained rather than providing east-west access, leading to a lack of connectivity for vehicular and pedestrian traffic, and higher likelihood of future concerns as the south side of Mandan continues to develop. So essentially what we're saying there is we have concerns that this subdivision is a bit of an island and doesn't connect well east-west. The requested zone change would be R7 for lots 1 to 5 and 12 to 15 of Block 2, and lots 6 to 9 of Block 3, lots 5 to 18 of Block 4, and lots 1 to 19 of Block 5, and RM, that's multifamily, for lots 1 to 4 of Block 1, lots 6 to 11 and 16 of Block 2, and lots 1 to 5 and 10 to 13 of Block 3, and lots 1 to 4 of Block 4. Properties to the north and south are zoned R7 and agriculture. To the east is RM and agriculture, and to the west is public right-of-way and agriculture. The future land use plan designates this area as low-density residential. Some of our concerns: the plat does not contemplate access, again, to Clover Grove to the east, either in a dedication or preservation of right-of-way. The preliminary plat does not provide the required secondary access according to 2021 International Fire Code with regards to what is called remoteness. So essentially what that's saying is that if there are access roads, they need to be a certain, within a certain distance apart to be considered sufficient. And this plat does not satisfy that. And staff requests that the owner and applicant develop an updated plat with full connection to the east at Clover Grove and lot 19 of block 5. Again, that's that big lot on the east side, has no access and will not be able to be developed. All technical requirements for consideration of preliminary plat have been met. The proposed subdivision would likely not have substantial effects on traffic, so no traffic impact study would be required. The plat does not include sufficient easements and rights-of-way to provide for orderly development. The City of Mandan and other agencies would not be able to provide necessary public services, facilities, and programs to serve the development allowed by the proposed subdivision at the time of development. And again, that's going back to the 2021 IFC with the secondary access. So essentially, not enough access for emergency services. It's not in the special flood area or anything like that. It is generally consistent with intent of the zoning ordinance, but it is not consistent with comprehensive plan or the future land use plan. And the proposed subdivision would adversely affect the public health, safety, and general welfare, again, because of the access issues and the lack of connectivity. The zone change fulfills the goals, objectives, and policies of the future land use plan and any other plans. I will try to pull up. Here we go. Derek, I wonder if you want to touch on the access. I'm going to have Jarek explain some of the secondary access issues because he's got a better understanding of it.
Chair Robinson, Commissioners, good evening. I'm Jarek Wignes. I'm the Mandan City Engineer. I prepared some exhibits today just to help folks better understand some of the nuances of the secondary access remoteness piece that we're looking at. Remoteness is what we're focusing on here, because I think that everybody can see that there are two access points going into this community, 8th Avenue Southwest and 4th Avenue Southwest. The remoteness piece of the International Fire Code requires that the two access points must be a distance apart equal to half of the diagonal distance of the area that it's meant to serve. So I did prepare some exhibits here. Right here, I prepared two exhibits kind of showing two diagonal distances depending on how you want to look at the development intended to be served. This southwest to northeast distance is 2,900 feet, and the northwest to southeast distance is about 2,700 feet. That would be 1,450 or 1,350 feet, and that would be the distance between the two fire apparatus access points. Right now what we have is 1,200 feet distance between 8th Avenue and 4th Avenue. So by the word of the International Fire Code, this does not meet the remoteness requirement. That is a little bit why we are pushing for this secondary access to be connected through this Lifford Court down to this existing right-of-way here. Would be to address the concern both today, but then also the concern going into the future. The developers have provided a master plan, and while it is out of compliance today, as this developer tries to go deeper and deeper and deeper into the development, it will become further and further out of compliance. So while they might be out of compliance by only 150 feet today, they might be out of compliance by 1,200 feet in the future. And the connection to the east offers, we think, the last opportunity to make a significant secondary access connection until it continues south, where they can connect to Highway 6 many, many years from now, down here, or connect to Mackenzie Drive if it crosses the Heart River and continues through this area south of Mandan. I did get an email from Chief Bitts, kind of reiterating his concern surrounding the connectivity for emergency services. And I think he has a good kind of concluding line here. He says, "We view connectivity as essential to meeting both the letter and intent of the fire code and to ensuring the long-term public safety as the neighborhood and surrounding areas continue to develop." Another piece that we might bring up is that while this is what we think is the last opportunity for secondary access for this community, we also think that it is the last secondary access opportunity for the community to the east as well. So we would, through this, kind of be memorializing the deprivation of secondary access to both this community and the neighboring community. I hope I explained that okay. If you have any other questions, I can try and answer them. But I can turn it over to Dave too.
Questions was Jarek.
Chair Robinson, Jared, did you say that that is already a right-of-way on the east side of the property?
I believe
right between the two properties?
Commissioner Robinson, or Chair Robinson, Commissioner, I believe that it is existing right-of-way. It is currently maintained by a few property owners to the south there. And this would bring it in, or as this area gets developed, it would become a city street and it would be eventually maintained by City Public Works. If that answers.
There is the potential of using that right now as, if it is a right-of-way, there's already the potential to use it then? Does the guy have to get permission from the Glover beside?
Chair Robinson, Commissioner, there is, I think, 100-foot wide right-of-way existing there today.
Any other questions? With none, at this time, I will open it up for a public hearing on item number 5. If there's anybody in the room that wants to comment or question.
Good evening, Chairman, Commissioners. Abe Almer with Independent Land Surveying and Engineering again. Can give you a brief history, I guess, of this area. I've been part of this project since it started with Keitel's First on the north side of 19th Street. Keitel's Third, well, I'll skip the north side of 19th Street and just stick with the south side. Keitel's Third was started in 2013 with a master plan that was approved by Commission and staff with a cul-de-sac based on the fact that it's going to be a very steep and snake-like road going down that east side. So at that time, it was recommended that we did not put that cul-de-sac, or we would put the cul-de-sac in, not the connection to the east. And that was with master planning in 2013. In 2021, plat was actually filed and approved with the cul-de-sac as shown. My previous developers who owned this land vacated that plat and moved forward with Keitel's Fifth, which was also all the way approved. We were in the stages of actually bidding out the water and sewer. One of those developers actually ended up passing away. They put everything on hold. Everything kind of just went to the wayside. They turned around and sold that property. So with Keitel's Fourth and Keitel's Fifth, and that was in 2022 that Keitel's Fifth was approved with that master plan of that same cul-de-sac. Now a new developer has come to buy the property and do everything. We're working with them because we have a lot of knowledge of all the property down there and the development and the history of the land. It wasn't until the neighbor to the east decided to put in over 30 units or propose putting in over 30 units and require himself to have a secondary access that this was brought up by staff and pushed on us by staff to provide that secondary access. We looked at putting a snake road together, shifting their right of way, everything else, and working together with the neighbor. Very expensive road, very steep road, snake-like road, double switchback, well, double curve. Not very congruent for great access or great development. So that's what I'm here to share, was the history of this property, that it has been approved multiple times, even the latest in 2022 by this board and the city commission with that cul-de-sac on the southeast. So, any questions?
This grade that you speak of, does it comply with today's normal
We could make something
traffic
work.
standards?
We could make something work to our standards today. It's going to be upwards of 8 to 10%, between 8 to 10% going down on a double curved S road. But we need the neighbor also to do a lot of grading on their property just to get to that 8 to 10%. If they're not willing to do that, and they don't comply, then it wouldn't work. So there would have to be some major discussion and major cooperation between the two to make something work. So,
Chair Robinson, Abe, does this kind of come up under one of those categories of whoever builds first, the next guy's got to clean up afterwards? I mean, if they develop this, if they were to get rid of Liffrey Court and make a street, or even just an easement to make it look like there's a street going over to the property line to the east, does that put all of the headache on Glover?
No, I guess right now, this was our proposal, was the cul-de-sac. We didn't want to have go down that steep hill with the road in the first place. We worked and we did look at that option and realized how steep it was and how much cooperation we need between the two properties, everything to make it feasible. The city did want city right of way. They did not want an easement. So.
Is there anybody from the city, was this pre-approved in 2022 like this, or was it a little bit different?
I guess I can speak to that. I was part of that plat as well. There are some different. In 2022, we actually we had the proposed master plan for the entire property, but we were only platting the west two blocks, let's say. Okay, the master plan was all the way across the property, but to the east, and that showed that cul-de-sac. Keitel's Fourth, which was platted, was recorded by a different different engineering company, and a different developer had that cul-de-sac in it.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Abe?
Chair Robinson, Abe, so how do we get to the fire issue? What's the solution?
I don't know. That's where you guys get to sit up there, and I get to just go the way that you guys tell me to.
Well, you heard the explanation, and it's the problem is X today, but as you move forward, it becomes Y then Z.
Yeah, and I've had plenty of conversations. Different municipalities view this differently. Jarek is looking at this measurements from 19th Street. Some other municipalities go to every intersection within, so every major block intersection within the development, not just the major street as the secondary access. So there should be two accesses to minor intersections, let's say. This is different towns. I'm not telling you how to do it. I'm just telling you how some other municipalities work. They'll look at individual minor intersections within the development, but they also look at major intersections as well in the development. So it's kind of, it's not up for me to decide the fire code. So.
Have you had discussions with the fire chief?
Yes, and he is Steve Nardello back in the day did not want a steep, snaky road. And so when we were working on Keitel's 3rd, Keitel's 4th, and Keitel's 5th, it wasn't an option. Mitch has a different view on it. So.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Yeah.
We're still taking comments or questions on item number 5.
Chair and Commissioners, I did just want to, I wasn't here for the 2022 approval. The city engineer, city planner, and fire chief all would have been different individuals at that time. And then, just to give context, 8 to 10% would be very similar to Lakota Avenue, going up from Dairy Queen up on top of Crying Hill, just to give somebody just a frame of reference for what 8 to 10% might look like. 10 is the max. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Commissioners, Mr. Chairman, my name is Mike Liffrig, and I am surprised to hear that I've been the namesake for Liffrig Court. That was news to me a week or so ago. Not really my preference, but there it is. I did buy the land to the south here in 2 chunks, 80 acres, 127 acres, and then an additional 80, with the idea of carving off this top 47, the north 47, to pay for some really beautiful things on the south, what would be 160 acres, because it is stunningly beautiful land down there with coulees and flat spaces and quiet and wilderness and turkeys and everything that's great about western North Dakota is there. But the funding, of course, is a challenge. And my thought when I saw this land the first time was that, wow, there's built-in revenue right here. We can sell these lots and we can get a big head up on whatever we all decide we wanted to do with this chunk of ground. You know, an event center, school, toboggan runs for kids, like a massive, the state's biggest park for children and fun, and like all sorts of cool things could be happening there. But we're focusing on this 47 acres now, the remaining that has not been deeded to the nonprofit. When I did first buy this land, I saw these maps of all these lots that had already been platted, and I didn't. And you know, to the city's credit, the city staff's credit, they put up with us a lot. Like, we asked a lot of questions, and they finally said, you know what, you better go see Abe because we don't want to talk to you anymore. We're not your private engineering company. So we did. We hired Abe. But in all those discussions with city, it was not ever mentioned that this is like a fire issue or like a connectivity issue. All that came afterwards, right? After the Clover Grove people entered the picture. And I don't know what's going to happen with Clover Grove. So far it's been very spotty. It's difficult to get appointments with them. There's been long delays in trying to work with them. And I'm just not serious. I don't know how serious that effort really is over there. And so I feel like none of this was an issue before. The fire wasn't an issue before. The connectivity wasn't an issue before. Somebody else comes in with this idea on paper to develop something to the east, which that development, by the way, as I understand the history, has already failed twice. This is the third go-round with the Clover Grove land. So whether it works or not, I don't know. But this comes into the picture, and now all of a sudden, connectivity and fire access becomes an issue. And it feels to me like the land that I purchased is now being asked to bear the burden of this other development, because what we were proposing has been approved 3 times, and now they come into the picture. Now there's these new requirements, and so it feels kind of like unfair, like changing the ground rules after the game had already been set. We did, you know, in an effort to try to be reasonable and to work with them, with the Clover Grove people, we did hire Abe to look at the Snake Road thing, the possibilities, and I did that kind of with the idea of trying not to waste things, trying to be a good shepherd of the land, because maybe there's some good uses that could be made, you know. So we were just kind of being open to the possibilities and listening to what our neighbors needed. Abe Allmer told us, well, it's possible to build this road, but it's going to be a tricky piece of roadway to build. 8 to 10%. The cobblestone loop road had an incident this last winter where a city plow lost control and just skidded down the street, and Commissioner Will Gardner's wife's car was caught up in the blade of this snowplow and totaled, right? Because these are dangerous streets. And you know, when we say that the fire code requires something, well, the Bismarck Fire Code looks at this exactly like Abe had just said. Like, where do you make these measurements? It's kind of, I was going to say political judgment, but it's more like a professional judgment call, whether you use the minor streets or the major streets, because these the fire equipment can go down all of these streets, right? So in a very literal sense, the fire equipment can use all of the streets that are on this plat. So there's some judgment being exercised there, and other cities like Des Moines and Bismarck make a different judgment call than what is currently being made with this fire department compared to the past ones. Let's see. So yeah, Abe did say it's possible. It's just really unattractive road to try to build. The other piece for me is that we're trying to maintain good relations with the neighbors on, like these folks here, if you can see this tiny little cursor. I've met with them, and they don't want a snake road back down here. They didn't, and maybe they'll address that or talk to you folks about that. But we are not in this business to try to make people bitter about what they've purchased for their homes and for their families. So I guess in a sense, if we had never had a look at that snake road, we wouldn't be here today. Like, if you guys go out there, you better tape your ankles because you're going to twist your ankles going down that road, going down that hill. It is a steep thing, and it's not really fit. It's kind of a pipe dream, in my view, for what we're looking at. We looked at it. We tried to not waste things, not waste the resources that God has given us, but this is not feasible, what we're talking about here. And so a lot of good things are being held up by something that is just kind of more of an ideological thing than a practical engineering reality. That's how we're looking at it.
Mike, when you talk about this, you spoke with the neighbors on the Snake Road. Are you talking Clover, or are you talking neighbors in Keitels, the existing Keitels?
Yeah. Well, the neighbor, I guess, in Clover would be the developer, and we have met with him several times as well. Yeah, and his sister, and we're trying to we're just trying to be we try to make this win-win for everybody if we possibly could, and he doesn't want the Snake Road either. So it's just it feels like it's just being jammed down our throats for unfair reasons historically.
Questions for Mike? Thank you.
Thanks for your service here, folks. Appreciate it.
Again, we're taking comments or questions on item number 5.
My name is Justin Glauser. I live on 230 Cobblestone Loop, so I am one of those neighbors that Mike has met with. I kind of know all too well about what just even Cobblestone Loops Hill does. Many of you may recall that there was a house that was hit on that hill. After a truck rolled down it, that was my house. Okay. My biggest issue is that we all bought our lots, picked them out based off of the original plat, right? And the dollar values based off of the views that we would have. And now all of a sudden, everybody wants to change the game. And that doesn't sit right with me. It's been recorded multiple times, which Abe mentioned, and now we want to change the game. Who compensates us for the loss of value because now we don't have a view lot and we got some nasty snake road sitting behind us? That Mike would have to try and cram a bunch of houses into to try and pay for it. And nobody's going to want to build on those lots. There's not one flat piece of ground on any of it. So those are just my comments. I'm a little frustrated that it's been recorded multiple times and now we want to change the game.
Do we have any questions? Thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone else?
Lafferty. I'm at 222 Cobblestone Loop. We were the first house up there in that division, and it's been a long time coming that the land to the east of us would be available for sale, which we'd very much like to do, to expand. Our lot's a little narrow from front to back, and we'd just like to have a little bit more land back there. But every developer that's owned that property, they said, well, that's going to be kind of towards the end of the development, but when we get to that point, we'll work something out with you. I've been through, this is my third developer that I've spoken with when I've talked with Mike about the possibility of doing that. And each time, it's been based on a similar plat map that's been approved by this commission and by the city commission. It's changed a little bit each time, but we're at a point now where that road could change the dynamic entirely. It may be through that cul-de-sac. It may be in a different spot. Could change the dynamics to the south of us as well. And so I'm at the point where, I'm a patient person, and I just like to be able to acquire a little bit of land behind my house so I can do some nice things with some landscaping back there. And I think it's time that we get this approved so that we can do that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions? Item number 5. And I'll call the last time for comments on item number 5. With none, I'll close public hearing, return it back to the commission.
Chair Robinson, I've got a couple questions, and I don't even know who to ask them of. The fire part is what I'm really kind of struggling with, and is my main concern about this whole thing. So if this was approved multiple times in the past, what changed? Are we to make the assumption that the previous fire chief was wrong when he looked at this stuff? Or is this something that just got missed however many multiple times that nobody realized that this wasn't in compliance? The other thing is, what do we do in the future? Even if we do approve this as it is right now, and when we get into the future and it starts to get to be, the ratio gets to be worse and worse the farther south they develop, what happens to the master plan at that point? Are we basically saying, okay, Mike, you know what, you're going to be able to develop this, but you have no way of getting past the fire part of it in your future plans going south. So I guess you just bought yourself some pasture. We're not going to allow you to do anything in the future. Like I said, I don't know who to ask these questions to and who's got the answers, but the fire part is the part that I'm most concerned with right now.
Chair Robinson, Commissioner Renner, I'm just gonna. I think Jarek kind of hit on it. I mean, we've had some staff turnover since plats have been approved. Obviously, you get different people, different things. I just want to read the definition of what they have for remoteness in the fire code, and I'll let you decide what you want to do with it. But remoteness is where 2 fire apparatus access roads are required. They shall be placed a distance apart equal to not less than 1/2 of the length of maximum overall diagonal dimension, which Jarek showed you on the map, of the property or area to be served, measured in a straight line between accesses. I also have access to the commentary section of the code, which is just the written portion after, to try to explain further in depth of what this means. This concept is similar to the one dealing with remoteness of exits in, and then it says a section 10.7, which is a section of means of egress for any building interior movements. It has the same rule. The diagonal can't be more than that. So they follow that same concept in that. One of the primary reasons for multiple access roads is to ensure that if one access road is blocked or otherwise unavailable, another will allow access by the fire department. Therefore, when more than one access road is required, those roads must be separated by enough distance to avoid a situation where both would be blocked or unavailable simply because they are too close to one another. That's the section. So I don't know if you had any other questions.
Do we know how far the fire department is from here?
I'd have to check
I'm
on
just
that,
curious.
Commissioner Ling.
Can I add to that, make it even more scarier? How much time does it take to get up there from the fire department? Do we know that comment?
That would also be a Chief Bitts thing, Commissioner Mutter. I know generally they like to stick below 6 minutes. The other, I'm just going to go, and I want to give you as much info as I can. The definition of a fire apparatus access road. I'm in the B's, so give me a second here. Anybody got a joke? All right. Fire apparatus access road. Definition from definitions of the fire code. A road that provides fire apparatus access from a fire station to a facility, building, or portion thereof. This is a general term inclusive of all other terms such as a fire lane, public street, private street, parking lot lane, and access roadway. And then this is the commentary. Fire apparatus access roads are required to be all-weather surface roads that are designed for the weight, type of emergency vehicle that may be used on the road. And a specific surface material is required for a fire apparatus access roadway. It is up to the fire code official to decide whether the surface will support the load of the anticipated emergency vehicles. And then it says, the last note is, it should be noted that this is a general term intended to include any private roadway providing the required access to a building. As such, private driveways could be included and subject to these provisions. That's what I got for you.
So, and I'd almost have to have Jarek's diagram up here again, but why wouldn't the diagonals begin and end at 19th?
Because the fire apparatus access road requirement states that excuse me, a road that provides fire apparatus access from a fire station to a facility, building, or portion thereof. If I am reading this term correctly, it's not to the street. This is to the building which the fire department is serving. That may be where definitions between different communities may get mixed up, but as we are reading it, and I say we and staff, this is the conclusion that we have come to.
Chair Robinson. So with that map, bring that back up again, please. Okay, you're starting to measure the northeast to southwest line. You're starting to measure that right from 19th Street, correct? But isn't lot 19 there with the drainage ditch and stuff? There isn't anything sitting on there, isn't there? Why would you start measuring from there? Why wouldn't you start from the property line right there on the northeast corner, the same way you're measuring from the end of the tip on the southeast of Liffrig's Court there? Why wouldn't you measure it the same way? I'll bet you if you measure those the same way and start from the property line that exists there on the northeast corner, I'll bet you're going to be in compliance.
Commissioner Renner, yes, I did offer both of these diagonal distances because I thought it would be up to interpretation. This 2,900 feet would be a similar diagonal distance from the far northwest corner to the far southeast corner, but I thought that it might be better to show the corner of a lot that has a use to a corner of another proposed lot that has a use, in which I think that the distance that would be comparing against would be this 2,700 foot distance.
But that's what I'm saying. When you look at that line that starts at the northeast, why is it starting all the way at the property line there? You're starting at up the end of Liffrig's Court on the southeast.
Yep.
Why wouldn't you start from a property line of one of the dwellings, maybe right off of 19th Street, the one that abuts to the 19th Street on the northeast, start measuring from there down to the southwest? Why wouldn't you? Yeah,
I absolutely could.
Right there. If you started right there and measured it that way, you'd probably be in compliance, because 19th there's nothing happening in 19th Street. There's no residence, building, or part of on 19th Street, on lot 19.
I guess my interpretation was not less than 1/2 of the length of the maximum overall diagonal dimension of the property or area to be served. I would suspect that this distance from this northeast corner right here to here is less than this distance right here, in which it would not be the maximum diagonal distance.
I'm sure it's less, which wouldn't that bring you into compliance?
It would not be the maximum diagonal distance in my interpretation of the fire code. It would be the second highest diagonal distance if we were to measure it from the other location. I would also like to maybe point out something that Dave touched on, maybe 40 minutes ago now. When we were having all of these discussions with the developer and the engineer, this area to the east was not included in any of those discussions. This was going to be unplatted. And what we had through our continued discussions offered as an alternative, a compromise to constructing that snake road, was a memorandum of understanding acknowledging future connection to the east. And in response to us saying, hey, this unplatted area outside of the plat, maybe we acknowledge that there should be a connection in the future, the response to that was to include it in the plat and to memorialize that there would not be a connection to the east, which was a little confrontational. But
so what you're saying is if you left off Liffrig's Court and all the homes around there, that would be in compliance then?
That would be a compromise if we weren't blocking ourselves from establishing connection in the future, and there was an acknowledgement that connection should be established or will be established to the east in the future. We were willing to work with that as kind of a stepping stone in the right direction.
Abe, you were shaking your head, no?
No, not without the memorandum, meaning a road would go. In their eyes, it would only be in compliance if we agreed to a future road.
But that's what I'm saying, for a compromise here, if a person got rid of Liffrig's Court
Basically, those
right
4
now,
lots.
got rid of those lots around Liffrig's, would this work? Can you make this work? I think there has to be some kind of a compromise here, I think, to make this go.
Well, I'm not, this isn't my line of work. I don't really pretend to know the details all that well. But to me, if you're talking about compromises, then what about the fire, the supposed fire issue? Like,
Because if
what
those-
happened to that? That's no longer a concern?
If those were gone, correct? Am I right in the way I'm looking at this? If those were gone, then it changes the length of that line.
Right.
And it brings you in compliance with the IFC code. Correct? Am I understanding that correctly?
Chair Robinson, Commissioner, yes, it would reduce the length of the line, and it would also not prevent future connection to the east, which the current plat would. As soon as we have a residential property in the way of continued right-of-way, the chances of that being replatted for continued right-of-way is almost nothing. Tearing down a house to build a road is always going to be looked at unfavorably in the future, and our best course of action is to establish that right-of-way right now, or establish an understanding that that right-of-way will be established. I think is in the best interests of our long-term development of this area.
So I guess we could sign a memorandum, but that's a taking under the Constitution. You're taking my property by forcing me to do something that I don't want to do and that I don't have the money to do, and nobody will ever have the money to do for no good reason.
But then you don't have to build the road right now either, is the thing.
Yeah, but I can't sell the property with this burden on it. No, who's gonna want to do this? Nobody, right? So to me, it's very fraught with problems for the city to try to do this.
And Commissioner Renner, he can correct me if I'm wrong here, but when he's asking about eliminating Lifford Court, I'm assuming we're looking at 4 or 6 lots there. It probably gives you both compliance and the ability to expand the plan going south. It probably does hog tie you a little bit in this area, but
Where is Lifford Courts? I don't even know what you're talking about. Is it the far northeast corner?
it's a southeast corner.
It's all of this? So these lots that are touching on the cul-de-sac.
Yeah, and to help Mike out, Dave, are you understanding Commissioner Renner's question and intention?
Right, but this is the southeast corner, and I thought we were looking at the measurements on the northeast corner of the diagonal.
I was originally thinking the northeast, but that wouldn't get us in compliance. But by changing the diagonal line from the northwest to the southeast, by changing the length of that one, it does get us in compliance.
Right, but I understand staff is saying that the diagonal should run all the way to this tippy corner in the southeast instead of to the end of the existing developed property, which is the property to be served, right?
But that's what I'm saying. If we get rid of those properties, then it shortens that line.
Yeah,
If you
I
decide,
understand now what you're talking about.
Yes, you're losing some lots, you're losing some potential sales, but it's giving you the ability to proceed with the development too. And it's giving you the opportunity, like Chair Robinson said, it gives you the ability to potentially start doing some more development to the south on those future lots before you get that line so pushed that you have to have another point of access.
Well, I'm quite emotional about all this right now, so I'm not in a good spot to make a decision like that is this important. I'd want to talk it over and calm down a little bit. But my sense, so nothing to the east of none of the yellow stuff we could ever develop.
From
Liffrig Court to the north.
To the east.
Yeah.
To the south and the east.
That would be the price of the road.
Yeah, so they're saying take these lots away around the cul-de-sac and just make this one big lot pretty much for right now.
And this would be all road.
Well, not right now, it's just one big lot in the future.
Well, it'd be one big road, that's what we're talking about.
In the future, it would end up being a road somewhere.
I know, but people aren't stupid. They're not going to be building stuff there. I mean, it's just so impractical. What are we really doing? It's if they have an issue with the steepness, like take it up with God. I didn't create this hill, right? Mm-hmm. This is the way Mandan was made. What are we trying to change? Like just by whim, we get to do what nature doesn't allow us to do. It makes no sense to me.
We'll have to meet the codes as the city has to meet the code requirements.
May I? Yes. Okay. And then I agree that not building the road is always going to be more affordable than building the road. And I also think that I agree that the idea that the the developability of the land immediately adjacent to the access road, maybe that wouldn't be, I don't know how it would pencil out, but maybe that wouldn't be profitable. But that access road, that secondary access road, unlocks, it benefits all of the properties shown in the master plan here. If you could bring that up. You know, these properties to the south benefit from the secondary fire apparatus road. And while properties immediately adjacent, this might not be super lucrative for a developer, it's a necessary cost to develop large neighborhoods like this. And it benefits the entire neighborhood, not just the adjacent properties.
The only thing I'm worried about, though, when you talk about that is we're talking about a 10% grade, and I was hearing stories of accidents and stuff, and trust me, I have been on some of these roads going up and down. That's also very dangerous too. I have really two concerns here. Is both sides. Is that if you put a 10% grade on there, you better have an experienced driver, because I'm telling you right now, it can happen where somebody rolls into a house or wrecks a car, or of course my dad's favorite line when he saw somebody in the ditch because they didn't go down the hill properly. So I'm a little concerned about that 10% too.
I'm going to add to that. So you referenced Dakota Drive.
Mm-hmm.
It's 15 around those curves. I believe the speed limit is reduced there. So my thought is, if a fire truck is going to take that road, they're going to go the most direct route to get to this neighborhood. Are they even going to use this snaky, windy road?
No, that's why I asked that question. Why wouldn't you measure off of 19th
Yeah.
and 4th Avenue?
Yeah, and I've walked this property with the past developer that had it for sale, and it is incredibly steep, and I just don't see how you can get a road on that plot that's feasible.
Chair Robinson, Chair Mutter, Commissioner Mutter, Commissioner Lang. I did do some quick research in response to the existing cobblestone loop being the exact same steepness as what we're describing. And what I found in my quick research was that cobblestone loop's max existing grade is about 14%, and that the max existing grade for kind of what my recollection of the Snake Road was 9.4%. So almost or about a 5% difference between the existing grade and the future grade. Those are not exact numbers. I could get you better numbers if that would aid in future decision making. And then what has been described as an extremely circuitous back-forth switchback type road, it is not that. It is closer to a line than it is to an S, if that makes sense.
Chair Robinson, just to reiterate what Commissioner Lang said too, I can't see a fire truck trying to get up some kind of a steep pointy grade in the middle of winter. If it's icy on there, they're going to go to one of the other approaches anyway. So it's almost like you're requiring this road, but in reality, is it ever going to get used in an emergency? Probably not. You know, so I don't know. I'm still at the point where I would like to see us get into compliance here somehow without them having to build that road. That's the way I'm leaning. And I don't know if that's something that, Mike, that you're willing to take another look at if we deny the application or the preliminary at this time, if that's something that you're willing at looking at to try to change that to get it into compliance for this time, and then maybe see if that helps you with your future development further to the south.
Well, I would keep the discussions going, but I'm not going to be screwing any of these people. I'm not doing that. I'm never going to agree to the state road. I'm sorry. Maybe there's other options.
And that's what I'm trying to avoid too.
This is just like a utopian Marxist dream. Like what we like. It is not real world stuff. So if there's something that is realistic, and I just have to give, and I don't get to have these lots, then I don't get to have the lots. But
Well, that's what I'm trying to avoid too, is trying to put this road in, because I don't see where that's helping anybody.
If I could interject, commissioners, you wouldn't necessarily have to deny it. You could table it as well, and we could revisit.
would that allow us to speed things up?
Yeah, I believe that would, you could avoid having to public notice it again.
That sounds fair to me.
If we look at tabling.
Chair Robinson, this is Commissioner McLean. Can I say something too?
You may.
So I have some pretty big concerns about this whole project. This has been approved twice before. And then Mr. Lithwig bought the property under that premises, and I'm assuming. And now we're changing the game. He's not wrong. We're changing the game for him right in middle of the game. We've changed the rules. And so I have a big concern. It's not like these fire codes have changed in the last couple of years since the last time it was approved. Yet we come up with these fire codes, and I don't think it's really the city staff fault either, but all of a sudden we have to follow these rules, and they're different rules than what was previous done, somehow, some way. So my concern is this person bought this land, and now we're saying, oh, by the way, you're going to lose how many lots you're going to lose and revenue, even though you bought it to develop it. And we're changing the rules in midstream for him. And now we're going to come back and say, listen, you have to lose these 5 lots or whatever it's going to end up being, and you can't sell them. Even though he bought it under the impression this was already a slam dunk. That's a concern to me. It was not approved not once, but twice by 2 prior developers, and nothing was about this road. And I have concerns about the road. I don't care what kind of grade it is. You want to bring a fire truck up that road in icy conditions? I don't think that's a great thing either. So that's just my statements on this one. I think there probably is a compromise, but I don't think Mr. Liftrig has to compromise more than anybody else. And I don't think he has to pay for a road for a different developer either. That's not fair either. Thank you, Chair Robinson.
Thank you. We've had plenty of discussion. Mike, your thoughts? We talked about possibly tabling or denial. Tabling is fine if you want to have further discussion.
Okay. I mean, if you're asking me, I'll keep talking.
neither one satisfies you, but
Come back to you folks, right?
yes. And personally, I would like to get some clarification, because the truck is not going to take the spiral staircase to a fire here. They're going to take 19th. They're going to come up 8th Avenue, or 4th Avenue, rather. It's just the way it is. That's why I'm curious as to why the measurement doesn't begin at that corner.
My son has a tattoo, and it's in Latin, so I don't understand it, but I understand that translation is, time flies, death approaches. You know, this is what, 2 more months now, so like, nothing is going to happen this summer, apparently, with this kind of. Right.
You know, we have people on this commission, they have to defend the city code. It's, but I'm still curious as to why the measurement doesn't start at 19th and 4th. Because quite frankly, that's the only road they're going to enter the development in. Or what would ultimately be 8th. They would come up that road also.
The thing that does appeal to me in what you're proposing is that, so the 160 acres has been conveyed to a nonprofit, but I care deeply about what happens with that. And so if you're saying that this would be, like, some discussion could help us make it easier for, like, a retreat center or something beautiful to happen on that land, then that would be worth exploring, it seems to me.
I think what we're trying to reach for is how to make this happen for you, and the city of Mandan for that matter. We're trying to figure out how to make this work.
And I appreciate the staff too, you guys. I know I get a little hot under the collar, but you guys are trying to do your best. I appreciate that.
Chair Robinson, I think that we have to get, like, your question answered. I think those are a couple of questions we have to get answered before we can even move forward. I know that if we deny it, it's going to cost more time than tabling it, in my opinion. But Mitch, I'm assuming, is not in the room to answer some of these questions, but I think we have to have him there next time, or somebody that can answer all the questions we have.
That's how I feel.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. I'd feel much more comfortable making a decision.
Can I make a motion to table this?
Are we still in the public hearing?
I closed it.
Okay.
Do we have a second?
Awesome.
Motion from Commissioner Mutter, second from Commissioner Renner to table the request for preliminary plat and zone change for Keitel South Hart Terrace 5th Edition. Any questions? With none, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Horn,
Yes.
Commissioner Ling,
Yes.
Commissioner Mutter,
Yes.
Mayor Freilich,
Yes.
Commissioner Infeld,
Yes.
Commissioner McLean,
Yes.
Commissioner Gardner, Commissioner Renner,
Yes.
Chair Robinson.
Yes. Motion to table is approved, and I would just recommend next time we see it, representative from the fire department.
Chair Robinson, we'll make sure that happens.
Okay, thank you. Any other business?
Chair, Commissioner, I just have one other announcement. It's tentative for now, but I know our next scheduled meeting for May is the Wednesday, 27th, due to the holiday. So I just wanted to remind you of that, and we're still working out details. If possible, we may have one more meeting for just the commissioners and others for the zoning code. So I know we met before, had some changes and things. If we can work that out, we were thinking of probably trying to have that meeting before the commission meeting that Wednesday. So just to give you a heads up on that, if we do, we'll obviously send out notice and let you know, but that's kind of the rolling pattern. I know Dave and their team have been working really hard to get those questions we had from the last session answered and all of those things. So just to make you aware.
Okay, thank you. And with nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn, I guess.
I'll second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.